back into the channel. I've been receiving a lot of requests to continue my Hidden Gems series within Madden 24, and I know that I'm late to the game, but we still have a ways to go within Madden 24, and it's definitely going to be helpful to those of you that are starting new franchises or looking to start new franchises. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's video, which is going to be covering Hidden Gem running backs. One of my favorite positions within Madden 24, because I like to, as always, start lower overall players and get them up to a super high overall. The first player on this list is a very obvious pick, and that is Izzy Allen. The reason that he's on this list is pretty much purely because he is 20 years old, making him a development dream. This guy, by the time he is out of his development phase, could be a 90 plus overall superstar X factor for you. In fact, in my franchise, he's an 88. Despite losing out on some playing time, he has turned into a amazing player. He's got 92 speed to start, which is a great base, 90 excel. His agility and change of direction aren't the best, and his other ratings are not necessarily the best, but coming out with decent carrying and things like that, that's all you really need at the running back position. The next player that in my opinion really deserves to be on this list is going to be Jerome Ford of the Browns. They've got Nick Chubb, and he's really not going anywhere. He's a true workhorse running back, and sure, you're going to need a guy to come in occasionally to spell him, give him a break, but they've got Kareem Hunt on the team. They've got the speedy Pierre Strong Jr. You could bring in any other number of running backs. Jerome Ford should probably end up being a starting running back on a team within a Madden franchise. At 23 years old, a 77 overall, it's kind of hard to beat that value, especially when you know that there is a defined number one ahead of that guy that makes him available. And running backs are not valued super highly either by the CPU or within the NFL in general. So I could see you getting him for a reasonable price. And right off the bat, you start off with a pretty solid developing running back that has a good base, 91 speed, 92 acceleration, and 92 carrying, which is kind of crazy in and of itself. I also like to highlight Tyler Goodson of the Colts. Again, a situation with a defined starter, a really good superstar at the top of the list. You could look at some of the other running backs on this team, but what I really like is Tyler Goodson's athleticism combined with his age and overall. At a 65 overall, this guy ends up on the practice squad. He ends up out there in free agency, just like Izzy Allen, even a little bit lower overall, but he's got 92 speed, 92 acceleration. The only problem with this guy is that he does have some moves and things, so his carrying rating starts off really low at a 76. So you're never going to expect this guy to be an expert at holding on to the ball. Maybe later on down the line once you get him to superstar and those types of things, but one little bit of a flaw that is made up for in other areas, other capabilities that this guy has. The next guy on this list is going to be Chris Rodriguez Jr., and this is not a guy that I have personally used, but it's a player that I've seen in franchise mode turn into a crazy running back, receiving back, and I really don't know why it is. I think that this is for some reason a guy that is just coded to play well. It could be his combination of traits. It could be his combinations of ratings. But at, again, a 22-year-old 65 overall, you can develop him into a really good running back, especially if you feed him the ball. 89 speed is not bad to start off with. You're going to have to work on it, but 91 acceleration, and then his agility and change of direction are a little bit weak, but this guy just produces from what I've seen in franchise mode, and a lot of people aren't too fond of the running back situation here for the Commanders, so they oftentimes turn to the young player to try to mold them into what they want them to be, and Chris Rodriguez turns out to be a really good developmental prospect within Madden 24. And the next entry on this list is going to be a rookie, but for good reason. Tank Bigsby off of the Jaguars can turn into a really good back as well at 22 years old and a 72 overall, starting with that base of 90 speed, 87 carrying. Not going to get too much into the other things, but he's sitting behind Travis Etienne, who is just a lights out, fantastic running back. I can't see this team ever really using much of Tanks Bigsby. And so if you're looking for a potential starter, this guy could be available to you for a pretty reasonable price. I have to highlight Jamir Gibbs on this list. He's not necessarily a hidden gem in the typical sense that I like to utilize for the term hidden gem, but I have to highlight him because every time I use Jamir Gibbs, or I see somebody else using Jamir Gibbs, or I play the CPU who has Jamir Gibbs, he is a monster at the running back position. Yes, he's 21, he's an 83 overall, but it goes beyond his ratings and all of that stuff as well. 94 speed, 93 acceleration, crazy agility, crazy carrying, crazy break tackle and ball carrier moves and all of that. But he breaks so many tackles. It's insane. He makes so many guys miss. I honestly can't believe it and wrap my head around why he plays as good as he does. I am almost certain if there is any case of a player ever being coded behind the scenes to play well, Jamir Gibbs is literally the definition of what I'm talking about with players that are simply coded to play well. This guy can come in and be a 2,000-yard rusher with ease in probably any franchise in Madden 24. He is one of the craziest running backs in the game that I have seen in a long time. And I would be shocked that within a couple of seasons, this guy isn't a 99 X factor for whoever has him. Another running back that I want to highlight on this list that oftentimes overperforms what would be expected within Madden 24 norms and metas is Ramondre Stevenson. At a 25-year-old 81 overall with only 89 speed, 88 acceleration, you wouldn't necessarily look at this guy and think that he's going to be a superstar workhorse back, but he does a fantastic job of breaking tackles. I think part of it is due to his size, part of it is due to his strength and his kind of build as a player, but he's a just absolute animal out there on the field. He's got 89 trucking, he's got 87 stiff arm, 85 break tackle. At only an 81 overall, he just is really, really serviceable. And if you're looking for a guy that the Patriots might be looking to move on from in a franchise, especially considering, he's past his development phase for the most part, and he's just not that athlete that everybody's looking for, but you want to get somebody that can break some tackles, that can get you yardage, that can be a little bit of a power back. This might be your guy. Another guy that is absolutely worth highlighting is Kiron Williams of the Rams. He is a unique player in that he's an 84 overall at 23 years old, so he has a high ceiling because of his capabilities. He's got good carrying, again, good break tackle, great trucking, ball carrier vision, stiff arm, all of that stuff, but he only has 86 speed. So if you're in a franchise, typically a Rams user is going to be looking to get rid of this guy because of his lack of speed. That 86 speed can be a problem, but if you know how to work with that type of a running back, this guy could be an absolute steal for you. If I'm the Rams and I'm somebody fresh coming into franchise mode that doesn't necessarily know how to use this type of back, that's looking for an athletic back and that type of thing, I'm trading this guy away for not very much at all. Maybe a mid-round draft pick or something like that. I mean, sure, he's a high overall, but I understand that everybody's looking for speed. Well, if you know how to use this guy has upwards of first-round value. Again, though, that takes knowing what you're doing. I just wanted to have him on the list because he's kind of an enigma that is potentially on the trade block in most franchises and a really good overall for it. In the next spot, we're going to talk about the Ravens running backs. I mean, we could look at this multiple different ways. One running back that I like is J.K. Dobbins because of the potential that he still has, and he's a bit underutilized. He's decent athleticism, 24 years old, 78 overall, so a pretty good combo. But what most people are probably going to be looking at is Keaton Mitchell, who has 94 speed, 96 excel at 21 years old and a 74 overall. That's just absolutely nuts. If you're going to be the Ravens in a franchise that doesn't have Derrick Henry after the most recent signing, Keaton Mitchell is probably your starter. But with the addition of Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell is probably expendable. And that is a crazy build to start with if you're looking for an athletic back that is potentially expendable for the Ravens. And easily traded for by anybody else. I can't go onto this list without mentioning the Pittsburgh Steelers running backs between Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. You've got two really solid running backs. They're towards the end of their development phase, but they have significant value in different ways. A Steelers user might be looking to trade Naji. They might be looking to trade Warren. They might be looking to keep both, but it's hard to use both of these backs and develop them the way that you would want to, splitting carries between both of those guys. Jaylen Warren is probably the guy that I would lean towards because of his athleticism, but Najee Harris does have that superstar dev. In either case, I can't see in most franchises the Steelers actively looking to hang on to both of these guys and pay both of these guys, so one of them is probably available. And again, running backs are a dime a dozen, so you can get these guys for reasonable trade prices. And there are really just two more running backs that are worth mentioning on this list that are free agents currently within Madden, one of them being a player that I've mentioned in the past with Tyrion Davis-Price, who has fantastic size for a running back at 6'1", 219 pounds, 90 speed and 93 acceleration, is a fantastic base build. At a 69 overall and 22 years old, you could turn this guy into a really good running back if you force feed him the ball. So being that you can get him for free, he should absolutely be on your radar, if for nothing else to be a depth piece on your team that'll be serviceable for you if called upon. And then Dwayne McBride is also a free agent at a 67 overall, 22 years old. He's not quite as athletic, but what's most appealing to me about him is the 67 overall at 22 years old. If you're just looking for the easiest play, let's say Davis-Price was already signed, the easiest play to just get a young guy and develop them up to superstar, Dwayne McBride is potentially that. With that being said, though, I think my favorite player on this list is probably Tyrion Davis-Price because of the price tag being free, his size and his athleticism combo, and what he can turn into. So that would be my number one on this list. And let me know in the comment section which you guys would have as your number one player from this list at the running back position. If you're looking for somebody as a hidden gem to come in and potentially take over that running back spot, who would you guys be going for? It could be somebody off of this list as well. If there's a specific running back that you guys like to target, I'd like to hear it down in the comment section below. Please leave a like, leave that comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.